Hello and welcome back to Crochet with Mary in Bamos, and today I've got something a little different for you. Today we're going to make a beautiful Christmas bauble. The Christmas bauble is made in two halves and then it's sewn together onto a polystyrene ball. I've already done the first half and now I'm going to show you how to do the second half and how to finish it off. The polystyrene balls, I got mine from Jumbo. You've probably guessed by now that I go to Jumbo quite a lot, and that's because it's got a really good range of craft items. But if you don't live in Greece and therefore don't have Jumbo, most craft shops will sell these polystyrene balls. If you can't get a polystyrene ball, then once you've done your first half, you can always stuff your ball, sew it partly up and then stuff it with foam or toy stuffing. But I find it easier to work around the polystyrene ball. Let's begin. I've got my pattern in front of me, and again I've written the pattern out so that it makes it hopefully easier for you to read. What we need is small amounts of double knit yarn, I can't get the words out this morning, in the colour of your choice. My Christmas theme is red and green and white, so I'm going to do mine with white, red and green yarn, and you only need small amounts of yarn. We're going to learn some new stitches whilst we're making our bauble, and depending on your tension, and I'll talk to that as we go along, you might need to either add or delete a row to fit your bauble. So I'm going to begin, and I'm going to begin by following my instructions and using my first colour, which is the sparkly white. I am going to make a slip knot as we've done previously. I'll just put that hook down. I am using a 3.5mm hook, and again it's a clover hook, and I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just move the pattern away so that it's not in our view, way of our view, and then I'm going to join our circle with a slip stitch, very similar, the same as you did for your table mat. And if I pull that tight, I can find my gap, and it is sometimes difficult to find the gap that you're going to start to work with, but this is my gap. It's the centre of my circle, and first of all I'm going to chain 3, and the chain 3 represents my first triple because it's the same height as a triple stitch, so I'm going to count that as 1 triple, and I'm going to do another 11 triple in my circle, so that in total I've got 12. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to let you carry on now and make sure that you've got 12 triples, including that first 3 chain, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. I have now got my 12 triples into my ring, and I'm going to join that to the top chain of those 3 triples that I did to start. So into that top triple there, I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and that's my circle finished, as you can see. Just going to pull my starting thread a bit tight because that makes my hole smaller, but I'll show you how to finish that off so your hole isn't just as big. Because we're going to change colour on the next row, I'm going to cut my yarn and over my hook, pull it through and fasten it off. Now as we're going along, you can sew in your threads, but for now I'm just going to carry on and do the next row. And our next row is we're going to chain 3, we're going to triple in the same stitch, and then we're going to put 2 triple in each stitch. So we're going to increase in every stitch so that we've got 12 triples. So I'm going to join my red, because that's my next colour. And I'm going to join it by doing a slip stitch, putting it through any one of those, the tops of those triples. Can you see that we're going to be working in the tops of the triples? And I've started at a different place so that the threads, I don't get mixed up with the threads. So I'm going to pull that through, and I tend to just start it off by using both of my threads just to tighten it, and I'm going to 3 triple. I'll just move these out of the way slightly so that you can see. So I've done my 3 triple. This time I'm going to go into that same stitch that I put that chain 3. So that counts now as 2 triple. I'm going to go into the top of my next stitch where the 2 loops are, and I'm going to put 2 triple. And we are doing this so that we're making our ring get bigger by increasing. So another 2 triple in that same stitch. It's really important to keep count of your stitches when you're going round, just to make sure you've got enough. And I'm just going to show you what that looks like. As you can see, I've got 2 triples in each of those triples in the first row. So I'm going to let you pause the video and carry on, and I'll meet you back at the end. Before I move on, can I just mention that there is some work going on across the road from us. So if you can hear some tapping, it is a workman that's across the road. So sorry about that, but it does add a little bit of interest, I suppose. Right, where were we? So I have been round now. I've done my 2 triples in each of those 12 triples from the previous round, and I've got 24 triples. As you can see, they look like little V's when you look closely. Can you see? Now I've joined my circle because I think we probably know how to join our circle now, and I've joined my new colour and we're on row 3. So row 3 is telling us to join our yarn to the middle of those 2 stitches that we did in the previous round. So actually we're going into the middle of those V's, and I'll show you as we go along. So I'm chaining 3 to start off. That counts as my first triple, and I'm going to triple into that same stitch. Whoops, missed that one. I'm then going to chain 1, and I'm going to go into the middle of my next V and do 2 triple. Chain 1 and going to the next V, middle of that V, and I'll just show you what's happening now. So we've put 2 triple in the middle of the V, and in effect we're skipping 2 stitches, so that one and that one, and going in the middle. Skip that one, and going in the middle. If you look at the other half of the bauble, you can see what's happening with those 2 triples. I'll just do another one to show you. So chain 1, find the middle of my next V, which is there, and do 2 triple. If you feel that you need to practice this, just go back, rewind the video and have another look, but hopefully yours is looking like mine now. And I'm going to carry on and put my 2 triple in the middle of the V, chain 1, and I'll meet you at the beginning. Here we are, and we're on round 4, and as you can see, you've got a pattern now of those 2 V's with a space in between where you did your chain, and you should have 12 sets of these 2 triples with a space in between. So I've joined mine, and I'm now moving on to my white yarn again. Can you see in the bauble? And I'm on row 4. So it's telling me to join my yarn to the top of any of the first triple in my set of 2 triples. So these are my sets of 2, and these are my first triples of those sets. So I've joined my yarn and I've chained 1. It's telling me to double crochet, and I was just going to do a triple then, but we're going to do a double crochet. And if you haven't done a double crochet before, let me show you. So we don't wrap our yarn round our needle, we go straight through the stitch, pick up our yarn over and pull it through both those stitches on the hook. Now we're going to do that into the top of our next stitch, so straight through the top of the stitch. We have 2 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through both, and that is a double crochet. We're now going to do a little fancy stitch, which is giving us these definitions in between our green triples. And to do that, we're going to do what they call a spike stitch. So instead of going into my next green triple, I'm going to go into this gap in the red, and I'm going to put my yarn through that gap, my hook through the gap, pick up the yarn, and I'm going to do a double crochet. Let me just move that out of the way so that you can see that I've done a double crochet but in the row below, so I've made it a bit longer. So I'm going to show you that. So I'm going to double crochet in the top of my first triple, like so. Double crochet in the top of my second triple, and then I'm going to double crochet into this space where the red is in my gap. So I'm going to put my hook, I keep saying yarn, I don't know why, put my hook through that gap in the red, pick up my yarn, pull it up so it's the same height as the double crochets I'm doing, and double crochet. And you can see it's giving us a nice little pattern there. I'm going to do it again because it's new and we've never done this before. So 2 double crochets in the top of our triples, and then in this gap, the red, where the red is, do a double crochet but pull it to the same length. It's giving us a really nice pattern. We'll do it again. Hook through, pull up our yarn. Just give the yarn a little pull so it's a bigger stitch, and it looks really pretty. So 2 double crochets and then into our red. Can you see that pattern now? That pattern is this on the other side of our bauble. I'm going to let you carry on and I'll meet you back at the end. Here I am at the end of row 4, and as you can see, it's made a really pretty pattern by putting those spike stitches in between our triples. I have also spent just a few minutes sewing in my ends. Now, it's not as important that you sew your ends in as neatly as if you were going to see the other side, the wrong side of what you're making, because we're going to be fastening ours to the ball. You won't be able to see the other side of our bauble. So here we are. I'm going to now go on to my red, and I have joined my yarn and I've chained 1, and I'm going to now double crochet in the same stitch. So if you remember, a double is we go straight in the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, and our pattern's telling us now to put a double crochet in every stitch around the edge. And you can tell which stitch you're going into because of these. Can you see those loops, 2 loops? That's where we're going to put every stitch. I'm going to go do a few more for you, first of all. So you can see where I'm going into. So it's through the stitch, pick up the yarn, over and through. And again, I'm going to meet you back at the beginning, and you should have now 36 double crochets around your circle. I'll meet you back in just a moment. Here I am back at the beginning of my row 5. Now, I'm not going to change colour on this round because I'm going to do another 2 rows of double crochets in red, and I'm just going to show you how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to join my yarn to the top of my very first double crochet, and again it's a little bit fiddly, but there, I've joined that. I'm going to chain 1, start again, chain 1, double crochet into that same stitch, must be a little bit shaky today. I'm going to start again. So I've chained one. I'm going to double crochet in that same stitch as my chain one. And then I'm going to put a double crochet in every stitch around. I'm going to do this row twice, so this row, and then I'm going to do another row exactly the same, so that I've got 3 rows of double crochet in red. So if you can carry on doing your rows of double crochet, and when you've done your 3 rows, it should look like this, and then we're on our final row. So if you want to do your 3 rows, pause the video and I'll meet you back when we've finished. So I've now done my 3rd row of double crochets, and I'm going to join my yarn to the top of that first double crochet, cut my thread and pull it through, and my final row is going to be green, and this is where you've got to just keep an eye on how big your ball is and how many rows you might need to finish it, because depending on what yarn you use or your tension, that might be enough, it might be half a ball. But I can see a faint line where the middle of my ball is. I don't know if you can see it, it's there. And mine's needs some more doing to make it reach the halfway mark. What we don't want is it to totally come to that mark, because we need some room to sew it together. I'm going to do my final row in green. Here it is, a bit messed up. And my final row is triple. So I'm going to do a triple crochet all the way around into the top of my doubles. So I'm going to join my yarn. Can you see? Just move things out of the way. Oh, and there's my ball gone rolling. I'm going to chain 3 because I'm doing a triple, and the chain 3 represents my first triple. I'm going to triple in that same stitch, and then I'm going to triple into the top of every one of my double triples going around. And guess what I've done? There you are. Let me start again with the right end. I don't know how many times you would think I'd learn, but I don't, obviously. So I'll start again with the the right yarn that belongs to my ball, and I'm going to triple crochet all the way around. And I'm going to, guess what? I'm going to meet you back at the beginning when you've put your triples in every round. And at this stage, if you haven't started sewing in your ends, you can sew in your ends too, and I'll meet you back. Welcome back, and I hope that you've now finished your row of triples and you're ready to join. And I'm going to join mine with a slip stitch to the top of the first chain in the 3 chains that we did, but this time I'm going to leave quite a long length of yarn because I'm going to use this yarn for sewing my half of the baubles together. So I'm going to yarn round it, pull it tight so that it's firmly finished, and I'm going to use that to sew it in. But first of all, I just wanted to show you, we talked about the middle bit. If you've got quite a big gap in the middle, if you pull it fairly tight before you sew it in, and just put a couple of stitches through the middle. Can you see that? Just let me turn it inside out so it's easier to see. And I'm just putting a couple of stitches through the middle to tighten that circle together. Yeah, so we've no gap now, look. If you can see that. I'm going to thread through my ends and I'm going to cut that off. I'm now going to do a check to make sure that my halves meet, and if you look, if I pull them slightly tightly, they meet, and once I've sewn them together will remove that gap. But just want to show you what I've done with this one. So I've put a little ball on the end of mine, and you can either leave it as it is, or you can decorate it with a button or a bead. I just happen to have some of these berries that are on a wire that I found in my craft things, and I'm putting it through the middle, and then I'm just taking that wire, threading it through a few stitches. Doesn't matter if it looks a little untidy, because as I said, you're not going to see this because it's going to be sewn together. Does that look? And then I'm going to press that firmly down so that there's no wires sticking out and no chance of it pricking anybody. And then I'm going to put my halves together like so. I'm going to thread my needle. And if at this point you feel that it's not long enough to meet in the middle, then you can add another row, either of triple or double crochets, depending on how much more you need to fill the gap. If you find once you've done your double crochet rows that it meets your bauble, then don't do the triple. It does depend on your tension and the yarn you're using. Now what I'm going to do is to start by picking up my 2 loops in the top of one side and the 2 loops in the top of the other, and I'm just going to catch those all the way around. And if you just try and match each stitch together. And once you've done that, I'll meet you back. You might just need to pull it a little tighter together at some points to meet. So you sew yours and I'll carry on sewing mine, and I'll meet you when we've been all the way around. Here we are. I've sewn all the way around my bauble, and to finish off now I'm just going to thread my yarn through the middle bit, this is just to secure it. And you can do that as much as you want. And I'm now going to cut that thread quite near. And the only thing we need to do now is we need some way of hanging our bauble on our tree or wherever we're going to hang it. And to do that, I'm going to use my green yarn, I think, and I'm going to use my yarn double for this. So going to just use double yarn. And I'm going to just put I'll put a starting slip knot in there, and I'm going to find where about to put my hook. I think about here is the middle, and I'm going to go between two of those triples. Can you see where I've sewn? Through there, through two of those triples. I'm going to hook my double yarn through and pull it tight. Oops. And bring that through that gap. Let me just try that again. Sometimes it's trial and error with lots of things that we do. So we've got to sometimes be patient and not try rush so that we get it right. So I'm putting my hook through. Do you want me to show you that again? Just so you know. So I'm putting it through a gap where I'd sewn my triples together, pulling through that loop. There it is. I'm then going to chain, and I'm going to keep doing a chain until I feel it's long enough, and I'm using the double thread, so I don't know how long you'll want yours, but I'll just do a few more chains, and then what I'm going to do is put it back through the loop I started with. So it looks like that. Yarn round, pull it back through, yarn round, pull it through, and there I have my loop to hang my bauble. Now just to secure this, I'm going to just wrap my yarn around the bottom of that loop and then tie it in a knot. as you can see, I've got my loop. What I can do now is put this through my needle, and again just put it through a few stitches around the bauble. Cut it off close. Same with the other side. And just thread it through a few of those loops. Cut it close. And there we have our bauble. And I think that's really pretty, and that's going to look really pretty on my Christmas tree. So I'm going to say bye for now. If you've enjoyed the video and enjoyed making your bauble, then please like, subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. And I'll see you soon on our next adventure.